Hey, it's Judd here with the Friends of the Mount Vernon Trail, and today I took off the carburetor from our EDCO CPM-8 scarifier, which removes bumps from the trail. We were having some trouble with it backfiring, misfiring, and running rough, so I took the carburetor off to give it a cleaning and see if we could improve that. I thought I'd take the opportunity to show you how a carburetor works. So this is from a Honda GX270 engine. I'll flip this over here. The job of the carburetor is to mix the fuel and the air to make the engine run. Right here is the fuel line where it comes in. Normally there'll be a little hose that goes in, and then this is the control to shut off or turn on the flow of fuel. That fuel flows down into this, which is a sediment cup. I'll unscrew that, and the job of the sediment cup is to just try to collect any dirt or debris that got into the fuel tank, and that fills up with fuel. You'll see there's a little hose up there, a little hole right there, and then that fuel then feeds into the carburetor bowl through this plastic tube. So there's a little hole in there, and the fuel drips out of that and drips into this bowl, which is normally attached like that, and then that bowl will fill up with fuel. There's a little float that goes into the bowl. It kind of works like a toilet bowl, actually. You'll see on the float that there's this little black piece, and that goes into the hole where the fuel comes out to fill the bowl. And when it fills up with enough fuel, it'll actually float up, and that little black piece shuts off the flow of fuel. There's a little hole on the side here, and fuel actually gets sucked up into that hole and through this little thing, which is a jet. It screws into there, and then there's a secondary jet in there that's hard to see, and the fuel gets sucked up through there. It gets sucked up through a vacuum, so when one of the strokes of the fuel is the air intake stroke, it creates a vacuum that sucks the fuel up into there. This side of the carburetor is the choke side, so fuel gets sucked up into the middle of it. The choke controls the amount of air that's flowing in, so this is when it's in full choke, so it cuts off a lot of air, gives you more fuel, and you use that usually when you're starting up the engine when it's really cold. And then once you get the engine running, you'll open up the choke and let more air flow into the fuel. So air blows in, fuel's getting sucked up through there, air blows in and pushes it out, or gets sucked out through the other side, which is the throttle. So this is the throttle side. This hole ends up going into the engine. So it mixes the air and the fuel, goes into the engine, hits a spark plug, and that's when the explosion occurs and powers the engine. This is with the throttle lowered, and this is open throttle, so it lets in more of that air and fuel mixture. So when you say full throttle or open up the throttle, it's literally opening up the throttle. This little hole is actually called a venturi, and it's named after an Italian whose last name was Venturi. So the hole's bigger on the sides and smaller on the inside. Uses something called the Venturi principle. That's how a carburetor works to mix fuel and air and get it sucked into the engine.